Hey, welcome back to my back garden redesign. So in previous episodes we have made a plan. I've also painted the fences, and the next step before we get onto the planting is to amend the soil, because we've got various borders that we're going to be planting up, and we want to make sure that the soil is adequate for the plants that we're going to be planting. And the plants that I'm going to be planting want something that's a little bit more nutritious and a little bit more water retentive than what I currently have. So what's my soil currently like? Well, it's actually quite sandy. Nottingham soil generally is quite a sandy soil. We're built on top of a lot of sandstone. There's a lot of caves around Nottingham. If you didn't know, we have a huge expanse of cave system below the ground. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But yes, my soil is quite sandy, which was kind of news to me. I kind of took it for granted, thinking that, my allotment soil is really rich and humusy and it's just absolutely beautiful and black. But obviously that's been looked after for over 100 years. So a bit of a fool to think it'd be anything like that. But, what I have here is just something I've got to amend to make it more suitable for what I'm going to be planting. So when you're looking at your soil type, it's really important that you actually get to know it. So you want to pick it up, take a piece of it and see what you can do with it. Can you roll it into a ball? If you can, and it keeps its shape quite easily, then you might have something that's a little bit more water retentive and a bit more like clay. I can roll it into a ball, but this stuff, well, it can fall apart quite easily. You can actually see the grains of sand in there. It's quite gritty to the touch, whereas if you've got something that's quite clay, it will feel quite slippery and smooth. But yes, you need to test your soil to find out what it's like. You should also do a pH test. I won't be doing that today because I don't have a kit, but it's definitely worth doing, because if you've got something that's slightly acidic, then you'll know that things like acers, rhododendrons, camellias, they'll all thrive in the soil, so you don't actually have to put them in a pot. You can just put it straight into the soil because they like soil that's quite acidic. It's quite gritty, it's quite sandy. I can tell it's quite crumbly. It's not going to hold that much moisture. So just by doing that, I can already tell it's fairly sandy soil. So what am I going to do to improve it? Well, I've bought lots of well-rotted manure and some compost, and I'm going to incorporate that into the soil today before we plant into it. And then after we've planted it, I'll be mulching it again to try and trap all of that moisture. It's all about keeping in the moisture and the nutrients and just giving it a bit more oomph, I do still have some wallflowers here that have been blooming for quite a few months now. And I think they'll just carry on throughout summer, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift them out of the ground, put them into a container with some soil in it, and probably just keep them in that for the time being, because this is all going to change quite drastically over the coming days. You can see a little hint of what's to come over there. And the alliums, well, I'm just going to have to work around them. They're getting battered just a little bit by today's wind, but right, time to warm up and get this manure around. There we are. So I've saved all the flowers and I can do what I want with them now that they're out of the ground. Such a gorgeous colour. Definitely want to keep them. Now, something else I want to do in preparation before the planting is to make a small raised feature. I'm going to use a few bricks and also some logs. The bricks are actually sandstone pieces of stone that I've got on the allotment. If you're a long-time viewer, you remember I edged a lot of my pathways and borders with the local Nottingham Bulwell sandstone, and I've got quite a few there, some that I really don't need and they're in the way now, so I'm actually going to bring some back here to make a bit of a raised sort of semicircle, just to give a little bit of extra height to the border. Then I can fill that with some more of the compost and the soil and manure mix, so that I can create a little bit of a a bit of a raised area for a bit more drama, a bit more impact. And once you see what I've got in mind, I think you'll like it. I think you understand what I'm on about. I tell you what, it feels good to get your hands down in the soil again. It feels like it's been a long while since I've done a good little bit of weeding like this. Now, I don't know what once grew in that corner, but it is very dry, and there is a lot of this sort of compacted root, and in between all that it's just like dust. So I don't know if it was a conifer or what, but this is going to need a bit of work. Oh, it's good to have some organic matter. I need something for all the worms to work on. But you got to think, if we're planting into this, with plants that can have lovely soft young roots, they need to be able to get into lots of nice soft nutritious soil, of which this right now is not. It looks very dead. It's actually more advised to dig your soil so you know what you're working with before you buy your plants. But yeah, I'll be adding more topsoil to this as well as the manure that I've already got, because there is not a lot of good soil in this back corner in particular. Well, I've picked up my rocks from the allotment, and I didn't film any of that footage because going to the allotment is a bit of a mission these days with a little baby, and also it's quite overgrown, so I had to sort of cut my way into it like it was a jungle. Anyway, I've got the rocks and they're just over there, so I now need to position them into place so that I can build my little raised sections and features on the border. I won't be using all of them because I'm going to save some for the gravel area, which is a different section of the garden where I'm going for a sort of gravel design. So yeah, let's have a play with some rocks and see what we come up with. So this is what we've got, a few different sizes, generally quite manageable for me to lift, which is good. And yeah, some big ones, some small ones, and this is where the spare ones will be going as well, as a bit of a idea. A little bit of moss, look at that, love it. Now I'm going to put my Amelanchier here because this is one of the key plants in the middle of the border as a little guide, because it's not going to be getting in the way of that, so that's probably going to go about there, but it will be straight when I plant it like that. I think I want a bit of a semicircle on this side and maybe one over there. We'll have to have a look. Oh, and I've also got some climbers to go against this wall. I best fetch them so I don't forget. I don't know about you, but I'm so excited for the planting of this border. It's going to be epic. Oh, a cricket. Not seen one of them yet. So here I've got some honeysuckle. This is great for part shade, and it will spread about 1 metre across, and I mean it would reach to about 4 metres high if I wanted it to, but I bought 2 because I want it to fill this panel. So they'll probably go somewhere like that. So I've also got to bear that in mind. Not actually levelled the ground that much yet. I was hoping the rain would do that for me, but never mind, it'll be fine. Just having a plate. So I've also got this log that I've saved from the allotment. It's quite rotted, but it's got amazing areas in there for all the bugs and creepy crawlies to hide and you know, breed, all that sort of thing. Just realised that bit needs to go there. I think I want some log as part of this front feature as opposed to the bricks, but I'll use the brick to raise it up. I think I'm probably going to put a fern in the middle of here. I just love the way that they spread their leaves, and it'll look great against that dark brown. Ooh. Which of these will look best? No, I probably should have put that at the bottom. So this stone is actually a very local stone to Nottingham. It's called the Bulwell stone. Bulwell is a part of Nottingham, and it's a sandstone that used to be quarried. It isn't anymore, but you see it all over the city, all around Nottingham Castle, and in most people's front gardens, if they have one, or a little wall. You know how you sometimes have a little wall in front of your house? Around here it's all made of the Bulwell stone. So I love having this as part of my garden design and allotment design. Makes me sound a bit pretentious, that, doesn't it? So yes. Ugh. But you'll always find people sort of getting rid of it on Facebook Marketplace if they're, you know, taking down their wall basically. So, just trying to get the levels right. You know, I was never very good at the game Tetris. Oh, and that's what it feels like right now. But obviously being a sandstone, this stuff's really easy just to chip away, which I could do to make them fit how I want. I'm not gonna. I like the challenge. Here goes the final piece. Really hoping this one fits. Definitely want that jagged edge on the outside. Perhaps, will it fit? No. So here it is. I'm going to leave it there, I think. It goes all the way around. There's just a slight gap at the back, which I think I'll leave in case any climbers need to work their way around. That's how it's looking from the top, but obviously you're not going to see much of that because it's going to be filled with some soil, and then we'll have lots of foliage covering over the sides, so you'll probably only really see a little bit of that, and even then we're going to have plants and things growing in the front. So don't know how much we'll see this in the end, but come winter time when a lot of things start to die off, you know, it'll still be a nice feature to have. Now, I've been debating whether to make another semicircle on the other side of the Amelanchier, but I've decided against it because I don't want it to look too symmetrical. So I think what I'm going to do instead, because I've got a few spare, is I might just play and maybe put a few like scatter stones. I'm not quite sure. I want something there, but not too much, because I don't want to take up too much of the bed space. And also, I mean, it's still nice to have a few rocks come winter time because it gives you something else to look at if all the plants have died back for the season. So let's see what we can do. That's all about finding the right face. Which side is the front and which side is the back? That's definitely the front for me, I think. It's already got a nice little bit of moss on it. It's not too angular and perfect in shape. I hope I'm not going to regret this and think, oh, I've taken up a good bit of space for a plant there, but you know what, I can always remove it. It's not going to be dug into the ground, it's just going to literally sit there as a small feature. Don't want it straight on, so we'll have it like that. And how does that look? Can I get away with just one? I don't think I want 3 anymore, unless they're quite small, and the ones I've got left are actually quite big and I need them for the... Oh, there's one over there. What are we thinking? Yes, no. Hello. You can hear my son in the background maybe. He's just woken up for your nap. Yes, no. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. And see what happens when I start to get the plants in. Does it need a third? I'm not sure. I think because it's like 1, 2, 3, maybe it doesn't. Now in terms of what I'm going to fill that with, I've still got some manure that I use to mulch the bed, but I'm also going to use some soil that I previously removed from this border before, because originally it was covered in grass and I took that off. Obviously a lot of topsoil came off with that. But what I did was I put it all into this wheelie bin and the grass has now basically died off, so I've got a huge wheelie bin full of topsoil. So I'm going to put this into there, mix a little bit of that manure in as well so it's nice and rich, and yeah, then it should be good for planting. Now the video is about to come to a bit of an abrupt end, and I apologise for that because well, my son woke from his nap, distracted me, and then I didn't film an outro, but you'll see me fill up the end of this log with lots of soil, and then that's about it. I have finished the job, I finished the bed, and I finished filling this all up, but I just forgot to film an outro, so I'm really sorry. It's quite an impersonal end, but it's all finished and ready for planting. Oh, there's bits of moss in here too. I don't know if they'll catch, but I'm going to shove that down those cracks because that would look awesome if it took. Always fill it in a little bit more than you think, because this is going to compact down a little bit after we've had some rain. All those air pockets will fall down a little bit. Oh, this moss. Yeah, as I said, I'm not sure if it's the sort of moss that will grow on rocks. You get so many different types of moss, and this could be the stuff that's just in the lawn. I don't know. So we'll see if that takes. So there we have it, and it's all ready for planting, and you'll find out what plants we have in the next video, so do make sure you subscribe.